Hi, I'm Amit Katwala from Wired Magazine and welcome to Spotlight. This is the last episode in the EA series that connects you to the games you love and the people who make them. Leading up to EA Play Live on July 22nd, EA have invited me to this discussion about FIFA 22. We're going to be talking about the next-gen tech that they're using to make football even more realistic.
What a game we have in store for you today. The hype has been building all week and the fans are pouring into the stadium. The tension palpable. Stay with us. We'll have all the action for you live right here on EA TV.
We've got a great panel of developers from FIFA here to join us today. Please introduce yourselves and your history of FIFA.
Hi everyone, I'm Sam Rivera. I'm the lead gameplay producer and I've been at EA for 12 years. I can tell you I'm a very passionate FIFA player. I obviously play the game a lot at work, but also for fun at home. And probably my biggest achievement in FUT was to reach Division 1 in Rivals. However, I got relegated. It didn't last for too long. But still, it's something that I enjoy a lot, just playing the game.
And hi, I am Sean Pejic. I'm a gameplay producer also on FIFA. I've been working at EA and on FIFA for just over 9 years now. Before I joined EA and when I was younger and much fitter, I was a professional football player in England, Wales, and North America. So I'm very passionate about football and obviously FIFA. So again, like everybody here, I'm super excited to talk to you about gameplay in FIFA 22 today.
I'm Kancho Daskov, the gameplay director for FIFA 22. I've been at EA for 14 years, and I absolutely love football. Aside from that, I'm really into the skillful side of things. One of my side hobbies is called freestyle football, so I love juggling the ball, doing all sorts of tricks. I've worked on all of the skill moves in the game. That's one of my biggest passions.
Hi, I'm Gabe Zaro. I am the community manager, global engagement for FIFA, and I come originally from Brazil, so football is kind of a religion for us. Played FIFA for most of my life, and I can say that my biggest achievement on FIFA 21 was to get Elite 3. Also Division 1.
Really, really great to meet you all. Now, I think like all of you, I've been playing FIFA for most of my life, and I was really excited for the next-gen version to come out. When I reviewed FIFA 21, there was a lot of room to grow within the game in the next-gen. So I'm really interested to hear what you guys have been doing to improve the game year on year and how next-gen tech is changing FIFA 22. Now, one of the big changes that you've made for FIFA 22 on next-gen is HyperMotion, which is going to make football and FIFA feel way more realistic. But can you tell me a bit about it? What exactly is HyperMotion, Sam?
HyperMotion is a next-gen exclusive technology powered by real football that brings gameplay to the next level of realism. HyperMotion integrates advanced 11 versus 11 mocap and machine learning for the first time to create the most authentic, responsive, and fluid experience on the pitch.
So what does that mean exactly? What's this 11v11 mocap you're talking about, and how does machine learning kind of come into that?
In the past, we used to capture animation in a mocap studio through an optical way of doing it. And we used to have maybe 1, 2, 3 players, and we would tell them, go to this direction, kick the ball in this direction. So advanced 11 versus 11 motion capture. XN Suits allows us to, for the first time, capture 22 professional footballers playing on the pitch. In other words, the data from these players in the real football environment, it's where it's powering the motion of players and teams in FIFA 22.
So what does the algorithm, the machine learning algorithm, do with all that data? How does it take all that data from that match and all the other data that you have and apply it to the animations that are used in FIFA 22?
Our cutting-edge and proprietary machine learning algorithm learns from over 8.7 million frames from the advanced 11 versus 11 mocap, and then in real time creates animation. This animation creates more organic and fluid motion in a different set of scenarios in the game. So what you're gonna see is players alternating between different, like let's say a short step and then a longer step to properly get into the position where he can kick the ball for either a pass or shot or just a ball control. And that just makes things look and feel more like football. Motion is more fluid because players in real life, they adjust their cadence, they look at the ball, they position their bodies to get there, to get to the ball. And that's what you see with this new machine learning technology that we have in the game in FIFA 22.
Can you tell me a bit more about this match, this 11v11 match? Because I think we've all seen, or FIFA fans will have seen videos of players doing motion capture in those suits with the little white dots on them. But this was a full game of football with all 22 players wearing these suits, right?
So I remember you telling us a story about the 11v11 in Spain, right? Like you were hyping up the players, you were telling them, go really hard. This is your chance to be in the game. And what happened there?
That was a very important part. We told them, look, this is the first time we're putting people actually playing the sport, professional players playing football, and this animation is going to the game, so go and try hard. And exactly at the end of the game, they were about to fight. It was very interesting, but we really got the data that we wanted. You see that the data is more athletic now. There's more intensity, physicality is there, and also a lot of behaviors that you don't usually get with regular motion capture. Players being more human, you get to take all these behaviors and talking and pointing, directing people. You get all these little things, all these football behaviors. Now we have them and we can put them in the game, which makes a more authentic version of FIFA.
And the other thing I noticed was the emotion. There was a play I saw where the player didn't get the ball, and you could tell he was so frustrated. Like, why didn't you pass the ball to me? And that was so natural, just that the way he did that emotion. So we put that into the game.
It's crazy, eh? When you have one person in the studio, so many cameras on this one person, it's hard to be as natural as with 22 people in one pitch, right? So
exactly. So this is really changing how we capture animation in football, and it's taking it to the next level.
Yeah, I think another little component that the Canchas touched on, but that I see when I looked at this XN's data was just the natural behaviors that Gabe was touching on, the physicality that you couldn't get in a mocap shoot that's more structured. Now we see players just naturally falling over each other. It just sounds so simple, but it's actually quite hard to direct and say, just fall over. You need to put it in a real environment and see the players just come together naturally and make these falls. So that's just one part of it, but like there's so much more that we can gather from this XN's data, which really elevates the game.
So it sounds like these new next-gen consoles have really opened up the ability to use machine learning and use these new technologies to make the game more realistic. Cancho, can you tell me a bit more about the 11v11 game and what exactly motion capture is adding to FIFA 22 here?
Yeah, so the data captured from this advanced 11v11 mocap shoot actually has resulted in over 4,000 new animations added to the game. And just to give you an idea, that's 3 times more animations than we added last year. So this is a huge, huge animation refresh. These animations show off the footballing intensity, the athleticism, the physicality of professional players, and this results in a huge improvement in player motion. So this is a fundamental leap forward in the way players move and act and behave on the field.
You know, from your perspective as someone who loves that skills-based approach and loves the feeling of real football, but how does it actually make the game feel different? Does the game feel more responsive? Is it smoother?
The game just looks more like football than ever before. Players really feel like professional footballers in the game now.
Can you give me an example of what you mean when you talk about animations? Is this something like a player playing a pass or a player making a tackle, or are they smaller than that? Is it smaller actions or is it these kind of big actions or both?
So it's individual actions, such as a player switching the ball from one side of the field to the other, doing that type of lofted pass, just the motion to slice underneath the ball with your foot, the way professionals do it. It's quite unique just to see that motion play out and follow the ball as it's flying through the air. So these kind of moments in the game really make the game, they make it feel more football because you have the professional players actually doing these actions in a match.
Will that differ depending on how good the player is? Like, will Lionel Messi approach the ball differently to a League 2 player or, you know, a player from a lower division in FIFA?
There's definitely some personality in terms of how we calculate how well the player can get into the ball, how fast. There's multiple systems that combine to give you that fluidity. Messi will be a little bit faster to get to the ball. However, here is more not necessarily about the personality, it's just about knowing how you need to get to the ball. So when you put all the systems together, then yes, players like Messi, players like Ronaldo, they have a better sense of how to shield, how to position their body so you can get away from the defender.
Obviously, football isn't just about individuals, right? It's also about teams and tactics. And there's new features called team intelligence, or we're adding more team intelligence to FIFA 22. Sean, can you tell me a bit more about that, please?
It's driven by the power of the new generation of consoles. Tactical AI creates deeper intelligence for all 22 players on the pitch. This starts with the attacking side of things. Now in the attack, each of these players can have up to 6 times more decisions per second than ever before. So now the attacking runs are much more intelligent. And also the build-up play and the chance creation, the players make much more supported runs, which improves the level of tactics. Also, the defensive side of things is a big improvement too for tactical AI. This was completely rewritten this year. So now the defensive side of the positioning team do more zonal marking and defend as a unit. It looks like a real game when you're watching it on TV. Like teams nowadays play very tactical, very structured formation. So we wanted to get that feeling across into FIFA 22.
You always tell me, keep your shape, don't get out of position, even when we're playing together, right?
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. That's what I noticed in FIFA 22. Like, you see the teams, defensively, they move together. As the ball moves from one side of the field to the other, the defense moves together.
Yeah, it's a big part of football nowadays, right? You said, like, you work in previous FIFAs, maybe they would work in 2s and 3s defending, whereas you really want the team to work together and be more zonal and defend as a unit. So yeah, now you feel this straight away when you boot up the game for the first time. And this example shows the defensive rewrite of the system. You can see the back four working in a unit and as a zonal marking to really work together. From when the ball switches from one side of the pitch to the other side, they shift together as a team to really work as a unit and defend that space.
We analyze a lot of professional football just to see how teams retain their shape when they are defending, when they move up the field. And that's what you are seeing in the game now, which just gives you that feeling of more authentic experience.
And actually in FIFA 22, you can tweak your attacking tactics so they're different depending on whereabouts on the pitch you are, right, Sean?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you kind of nailed it with that one. In the attacking tactics, you can set your tactics in both chance creation and build-up play, which in other words means that if you have the ball in your defensive half of the pitch, you can set your tactics to play one way, possession football, for example, but then when you play in the attacking side of the pitch, you can change to completely different tactics. So gives the user and everyone more control to adjust your tactics and customize how you want to play.
This is a very important feature, especially for those that play competitively, because you get more control. You can, as you said, pick your tactics differently, and it's going to be an important one.
So tactics is one thing, and we've all watched Champions League finals where it's like a chess game, but we've also all watched, or at least I've watched a lot of League 2 football where it's more like a wrestling match. How does HyperMotion improve the physicality of players?
We've added the new kinetic air battles. So now when the ball's in the air, you see the differences where two players are synced together. So the visuals of two players going up for the header look way better than it ever has, but also maintaining the responsiveness of what the user wants, because you really need to focus on the responsiveness as well as the visuals. So these two things combined really elevates the in-air play battles in FIFA 22.
Yeah, and the thing about the new headers, right, we're using the two-player interaction technology. So now, as you said, we're syncing up two players going up for the ball. So when they collide, it actually looks really natural the way they stumble or fall after that collision. It's not like individual objects hitting each other. This is like two players really going up and battling for the ball. So two players could be running side by side, jumping up for the ball. They could be backpedaling. One guy could be running in a certain direction, the other guy in the opposite direction. But the point is that they go up together. You're going to feel that physicality now.
There's a bunch of different areas of FIFA that are being touched by this HyperMotion technology. And another one, Kanto, is ball control, which has really benefited from these extra animations.
Player's first touch is so important in today's modern game. And HyperMotion gives us such a huge animation refresh that now we're able to control the ball more fluidly than ever before. And the way we're doing that is by adding new multi-touch animations. And that's the key. These animations are longer and they have multiple touches, which allows you to bring down a ball off the chest and onto your foot in one fluid motion. So with the longer animations, you're able to take the ball off your thigh, cushion it, and turn quickly away from your opponent. You're gonna feel these new animations, especially in controlling air balls. So anytime the ball's in the air or bouncing, you're gonna take that quick touch off your thigh or off your chest, turn fluidly with that second touch into the direction that you want to go in. We're calling this feature composed ball control because the players are way more natural at taking that first touch and transitioning to the second one.
I think at the very start of this clip, you can see a multi-touch trap, if I'm not mistaken, where he's shielding the defender. Comes off his thigh, it lands nicely in front of him to then move forward. And yeah, that part of, to me, looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not just the visual improvement. It actually allows the players to control the ball quicker. So one touch off the chest, setting it up for one touch with the foot, and that's it, you're off. It's not like in previous FIFAs where sometimes you take the ball off the chest, it bounces awkwardly, and you have to like adjust. It's way more responsive now because it's literally one touch, two touch, and you're off.
That's so important, right? Because on a competitive level on FIFA, you see that the best players, they're just trying to adjust for the best shot or the best pass.
Yeah, and like in professional footballers, also as well as Kancho was saying, the realism in FIFA, from an authentic point of view, it's all about the first touch. Like when you coached as a kid or up until whatever level you play at, always focus on the first touch, getting the ball out of your feet, 1-2 touches, and then you're away.
And having all of these additional animations, there's over 400 new animations for controlling the ball just due to HyperMotion. And this is just bringing a whole new level of realism to the game that allow players to turn quickly away from their opponents.
And just to add to that, in the past, we used to prioritize shorter animations to keep the game as responsive as possible. However, now this technology, as Kancho mentioned, allows us to have longer animations with more than one touch on each animation, which result in better visual quality, but we still have that ability to transition out of that animation at any time into something else if the situation changes. Let's say there's a defender coming, and in the middle of a trap that is very long, I need to go in a different direction, and we can transition out. So now we have the best of both worlds, responsiveness and good visuals in the game.
And I just have to say that out of all of the new animations in the game that we got from HyperMotion, these are the ones that really stand out to me.
One of the other things that really makes the game feel like real football is the stuff that goes on off the ball. You know, you've made real efforts to humanize the players and to make them not just stand there like mannequins when they're not doing anything, but to look and behave and act like real players would on the pitch.
So when we analyzed the 11v11 advanced mocap, we actually noticed the players are communicating all the time. I'm saying, man on, go here, I'm offering support. All these things that professionals do all the time, every second during a game, communicating, talking. So there's a lot of new behaviors that we've added. Players just gesturing to each other saying like, hey, I was free for a pass. Why didn't you pass it to me? Or look, I'm gonna go into this space, pass it to me there. Or look, watch out who's behind you. These are just some examples of the behaviors that we're adding to the game. And some of them are super subtle. You may not pick them up, but you're gonna get this general sense that players are more alive.
You know where you're gonna notice the most? During set pieces. Like you have a goal kick, you have a throw, and players are talking, communicating, asking for the ball. And they actually move a little bit to provide you with better support. So you will have more passing options in those deep free kicks, for example. But it's all about this objective of making players more human and just smarter across the pitch.
We hear from feedback a lot that, you know, we have a parcel of our player base that talks about these animations so much because they are playing for an immersive experience. The career mode guys, for example, they go wild with these types of things. It's incredible, like the reception, you know, for these small pieces of animations that just create a more immersive experience for those players. It's huge for them.
And the other thing you'll notice about this clip is the way Haaland runs. We have a star-specific locomotion for Erling Haaland. He is a big-time player. He's a young superstar, and the way he runs is so unique. He's kind of got this like a little bit of a hunch in his posture and big strides. So to represent that power and uniqueness of his running style, we've got his running style in the game now. And the beautiful part of this is their upper body layer animations, meaning they don't hinder responsiveness. You can do whatever you want on the controller. These are just layers on top.
And also to add a little bit extra from my experience, when this thing came into the game when we played it a couple of weeks ago, it actually makes you think about the game and play it a little bit differently because now I might see a player off the ball calling for the ball. I'm like, oh, maybe I should like think about passing to this guy, or it just changes the way you think and play the game a little bit because you see these off-ball players doing these gestures and being more football. So all this combined just elevates the way you play FIFA and gameplay.
Yeah, so the animations actually go to pretty much every area of the game. You see goalkeeper, you see the two-player headers, you see passes, shots, ball control, pretty much everywhere, all these humanization gestures. We are putting those animations from the mocap shoot in every area of the game, basically. That's
so fascinating. One of the things I remember from writing about this in the past is that the best midfield players move their heads around much, much more than kind of average midfield players. If you measure how much Xavi or Frank Lampard or Steven Gerrard or a more modern midfield player moves their head around when they're on the pitch. And it's really interesting how this kind of, in real football, this upper body movement actually has a direct correlation to how good a player is and how many passes they play. So it's really great to see that being reflected in FIFA 22 as well. Now, we've talked about HyperMotion and how it changes play, but there's some other developments in FIFA 22 as well. And I'm just going to ask each of you to name a couple of things that you're excited about and excited to bring to the fans in FIFA 22 when it comes out. Sean, maybe you can go first.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that we haven't talked about yet is the new goalkeeper system. This new system unlocks much more reliable saves for the goalkeeper, as well as making smarter decisions in vital moments in the game.
To be honest, that was the first thing I noticed when playing FIFA 22. It was like, I was playing, I was like, okay, I understand, this is cool. But when the ball went to the goalkeeper, he did a completely new animation. It just stood out because I'm so used to, as a core player, I'm so used to the regular animations until FIFA 21. And then the first time he came out, I was like, wait, what's he doing? It was really stood out. That's
yeah,
cool.
of course, for the animations, we've completely added a bunch new animations to refresh how the keeper looks, as Gabe was saying. So
Yeah, and it's not just the animations, right? The tech we're using to, to play back those animations has been upgraded. So as Gabe mentioned, the first thing you notice is like, oh my God, that was so much more fluid than last year's game. Yeah, even just the small details about the way the goalkeeper follows the ball as it passes his hand. That's all much more realistic than it was before. So not only the full body animation of the goalkeeper flying through the air, but the way his head is tracking the ball as it flies into the net.
Kanche, what are some of the examples of things that people might not notice at first glance, but which appear when you take a closer look?
There's actually a lot of subtle animations that have gone into the game, such as the way you lay the ball off with a first-time pass, to even just doing a driven pass, like one of those daisy cutters, where you drive the ball low and hard across the field. So you kind of notice these new ways to kick the ball, and that's all coming from that 11v11 competitive motion capture shoot that we did. We're calling this feature Full Team Authentic Motion because it's all about all those little bits of animation that we're sprinkling into the game, thousands and thousands of it, and it just brings the characters more to life.
I'm amazed by the depth you guys have gone to as well, because it's not just the player animations that have been refreshed, but you've really kind of reworked the way the actual ball works, right?
Yeah, that's actually a big one. It's a game-changing feature. So what we're doing in FIFA 22 is we're importing real-world ball data into the game to create the next level of realism in terms of how the ball moves. So we're changing parameters like the friction on the ground, the friction with the air, just how the ball spins, the speed of the ball. And that really changes the perception of the game, how the ball moves. It's a lot more authentic, and you notice that right away. For example, if you do a pass, a love pass to switch the field, the hang time of the ball is now more obvious and really so satisfying to do one of those love passes across the field. And so again, to put it in context, you do the pass, you see a brand new animation from the mock-up 11 versus 11 that we did, then the ball flies in a completely different way that is more authentic. And then when the player is receiving the ball, those new long animations play, and that changes the experience completely.
Yeah, even just passing the ball around, simple ground passes to your teammates, they don't slow down as much now, right? So you can pass the ball, pass the ball, turn. You're not like waiting for it to get to you. So that just improves sort of the flow of the game, I found.
Yep.
Definitely.
But if you do find yourself, one-on-one with an opponent and everything's slowed down and you're kind of faced up against them, there is a new way of getting past them on FIFA 22, right?
There's a mechanic called explosive sprint. When you press that right trigger at the right time, you're going to get a bigger push and acceleration with the ball. Now, this works both on dribbling and defending. So if you're trying to catch up to a dribbler who maybe got a step on you, you're going to get that boost while just running and sprinting. But if you're a dribbler, you can really lure that opponent in to get close and get by him with a quick acceleration.
That changes the way you defend and attack. You've got to really think about now when you press that sprint button. You get the benefits of waiting and trying to have these mini games between the attacker and the defender to really time these inputs to see this explosion of sprint in both defenses and attacking side of things. So,
and one of the biggest questions around this feature is it going to make the game now OP, the sprinting part of the game? But no, that's exactly what we are tuning. We are making sure that you feel that explosiveness, but it's not necessarily going to be the only way to play. So we're balancing things considering how players will be trying to use this mechanic.
Yeah, there is a cooldown. You can't just spam this mechanic, right? So you can use it once, but then if you want to use it again, you have to wait some time.
Exactly.
I think we could talk about this all day, but I'd love to find out a bit more about how you guys listen to the fans and the process that your dev team undergoes to deliver on the feedback that you guys get.
We have a huge player base with millions and millions of players around the world, and it's a lot of different priorities from these different types of players. So we have different platforms and initiatives to take care of that feedback. So for example, the Game Changer Network, we talk directly to influencers, content creators, and feedback specialists. We have the FIFA Community Design Council, which is a group that is completely focused on getting feedback early on the development stages of the game. We have pro players being part of that council. We have content creators that are focused on FUT. We have people that are completely focused on career mode. We have a couple of casuals, and we have, you know, the average FIFA player, which could fall into different categories as well. The idea there is for us to give them as much information as early as possible so that they can interact directly with the producers and actually give some feedback before we go into the depths of development.
Sam, can you tell me a bit about what it's like working with the feedback that you get from the fans via Gabe?
After listening to all the ideas from the fans, all the feedback, we also look at data, for example, and we know a lot of things about the health of the game, we call it. How many goals are scored per game in average? How many fouls? How many offsides? How many shots? We can see in a detailed diagram, basically, where are all the shots coming from? What's the success rate for each different type of shot? And we analyze all this information to try to make the best decisions. We also play the game a lot. Obviously, we're producers. That's part of our job. And that's very important to really understand what are those frustrations.
So let me get this straight. So if players are complaining about it being too easy to score from crosses or too difficult to score from headers, you can see that in the data.
We can, and we also set targets sometimes based on how we want the game to play. So if we think there's too many goals from crosses and we feel like maybe there's not enough skill needed to score on a cross because you just need to go to the wing and then cross it, then we try to design systems, design the game, maybe in a two-player header situation, how can we get the best outcome that creates a balanced game.
How much does the game change from, you know, the first release to by the time the next game comes out, and how quickly players kind of find the easy ways to score? You know, is it within a week of release? Is it within a day of release where you see, oh, actually, there's too many goals being scored from crosses or too many goals being scored from headers?
A lot of the bugs that we find require millions of players competing online. So sometimes it takes months for the community to really discover certain things in the game. And we're there. We're playing every weekend. We are monitoring and we are talking to people to get the feedback right away and act right away.
That's really fascinating stuff. It's so great to hear about how you guys are reacting to feedback. All right, that's just about all we've got time for, but this has been so fascinating. Thank you so much to the guys from FIFA for answering our questions, and thank you to the fans for watching in and listening. Before we go, Gabe's got a few dates for your diary to look out for if you're interested in more about FIFA 22.
Yeah, for sure. So make sure to stay tuned as we will be releasing a lot of different pitch notes articles that have deep dives on gameplay and all of the modes that we have on FIFA 22. And make sure to check out our Top Bins streams that happen every Friday on our Twitch channel, where we will have these guys as guests. We will have art directors, all sorts of good people that work on the game to let you get more information and the inside scoop on everything FIFA 22 related.
Can I add something, Gabe?
Yes, please.
Definitely check out the gameplay pitch notes. There's a lot of features that we don't get to cover here in this interview, but there's a lot of depth. A lot of those features are coming directly from the feedback from the community, and we're trying to create the best experience for everyone.
All right, that's it for the Spotlight series. For more information, check out EA.com and make sure to follow EA on Twitter. And you won't want to miss EA Play Live at 10 a.m. PST on July 22nd for more about FIFA 22. I've been Amit Katwala from Wired, and this has been Spotlight. Thank you so much for watching.